Hey everyone, this build video is about the Arcane Storm Meteor Druid I used for the Grim Dawn playthrough. He went straight from nothing at the beginning of normal/veteran all the way through to beating Log Heron on ultimate. And that's going to make things a little different for this character's build video in that I'm not actually going to be doing a skill demonstration because there's a whole 71 episode series about this character essentially that follows him from nothing to completion. So you can go and watch that entire series or just catch the last couple videos, especially the last video where he goes through the Bastion of Chaos at like level 83. And that is pretty much the final build that he's using there. And that's also the leveling guide more or less to how to pursue this character through the difficulties. I only took out a couple of... There's some moments where you're missing a bit, but I mean, it would have just been me running around fighting things. Anyways, so... the Arcane Storm is a Druid, as I mentioned before, and I wanted to heavily base him around using Trojan Sky Shards and Devastation and Wind Devils. Initially, I was going to use the Trojan set, and I actually have the chess piece now. And that was sort of the crux, the start of this build, was using Trojan's Ascension. And that's why I went with Trojan Sky Shards and Wind Devils. It turns out I actually really like having the full Escandra's set on this guy. And he also changed to being... And he's not actually the Arcane Storm anymore. He actually ended up being Aether Lightning instead of Lightning and Cold. Mostly because of the set. Which, I mean, he's not using anymore. But, aside from that, he developed really, really nicely as time went on. So, and he got a sort of unique feel in the end, because he's all about running around and dropping things on your enemies. Trojan Sky Shards is... Oh, I should take off all my gear, actually. Yeah. This should take 2 seconds. He did really, really well throughout the entire game, and it kind of made me reassess the Druid, because initially, I thought it was just kind of, I thought it was just like, oh, you get some good Arcanist things, but like the Shaman stuff is okay. But now I'm like, oh, this is actually a really powerful and potent class combination. So Trojan Sky Shards is maxed out. It's sort of your bread and butter move, and it deals a lot of damage, even though you're not constantly throwing it out. Frozen Core, we tick 1 point in to get the freeze target for 2 seconds portion of the ability. And then Shattered Star we max out because of the bonus lightning damage, both on the chance and the percent, and then the bonus crit damage. So this kind of turns Trojan Sky Shards into a, like... roll of the dice as to whether or not it will do great damage or really, really great damage. So, Star Pact is also maxed out because this build is predominantly based around getting cooldowns as cooled down as possible. You'll notice that Wind Devils, Wendigo Totem, even though that's kind of newer, Storm Totem, Devastation, Trojan Sky Shards, Electrous Flash Freeze, Mirror of Aractes, they're all cooldowns. Every single ability we use across the entirety of the character class is a cooldown ability. So having Star Pact is super important for us. Regardless of what level it's at, I always want it maxed out here. I think every odd level in the ultimate levels gives it its skill cooldown reduction, but honestly for this character, capping it and then overcapping it, I think is the way to go. Devastation, I want it 16 of 16. Overcapping it is nice, but I generally think it being at 16/16 is good enough. Devastation deals a crap ton of damage regardless of what level it's at, and freeing up those 5 points can actually, relax some of the other build parts. Electra's Flash Freeze is awesome. It's insane, actually, at 12 of 12, and I have it at 12 of 12. There could be something here if you wanted to do Electra's Flash Freeze with Wind Devils, because if you were to get absolute 0 maxed out, you could get a lot of negative physical res, and then you could do focusing on Wind Devils with their physical damage and actually have them deal quite a bit of damage in and of themselves. But for me, I wanted to go more with the Aether Lightning side. But that's a potential build thing. And I throw 1 point in absolute 0, mostly for the slow. And then that'll scale up with our plus skills. Mirror of Arcane on this build is a 1 point wonder. We have so much cooldown reduction that we'll actually get the cooldown pretty low as we need it. Plus we're, a druid, so we have some good base health to work with. And that's sort of, I'll point it out here, one of the negatives of this class combo is that while we can freeze things, we could potentially knock them down if I spent 2 points on Caladar's Tempest and Wrath of Agravax, and we can nullify them. We don't actually have a crazy powerful flashbang level control ability, so our health ends up being a huge portion of our defense. And we basically end up like tanking just through hit point damage, on top of having our damage absorption from Myvan Sphere. And Myvan Sphere is going to be 12 of 12 with plus skills. Yeah, generally it's about mitigating things a bit with our devotion abilities and Myvan Sphere and Mirror, but health is kind of big for this character. Health and his resistances. Conversion's a 1 pointer, obviously. And then I did 1 point in the entire Iskandra's line for its bonuses when you get plus skills. And since I'm doing the full Iskandra set, this almost actually gets to 12 of 12. For our passives, Inner Focus is obviously maxed out. 1 point on Arcane Will, because it's great as a 1 point wonder. 1 point on Nullification, again, because it's great to have it in your toolbox. And I threw a point on Fabric of Reality just for that extra bit of damage when we get our plus skills going. And that's mostly just to give Devastation a little love on the passive bonus side, because Star Pact will give you your lightning cold damage for your Sky Shards and your totems. Totem. I have 3 points on Wendigo Totem, only because I think that's my last 2 points I had. I had nothing to put them in. I didn't want to put them in Mogdragon's Pact or Oak Skin. I didn't want to pick up a new ability because, my bar is full. So I just threw a couple extra points on Wendigo Totem. And actually, no, I don't know that actually picking up 1 pointing Blood Pack would be worth it. It'd be for the chance of attack damage converted to health. But I think having that little extra bit on the heal is a little helpful. I could have capped out that, but that's at 16/16 with plus skills. Same thing there for Maelstrom. I could do that, but yeah, getting that little extra heal is pretty handy. Wendigo Totem is great if you can get it to 12 out of 12, even if you aren't Vitality damage based, because it'll still heal you. Storm Totem is another one of our Fire and Forget things. We throw down totems as fast as we can, and because of our skill recharge rate, we actually get them out pretty quickly and pretty consistently. Same thing with Wind Devils. And Wind Devils, we have a 1 pointer on here with Blizzard attached, 1 point on Raging Tempest, and then we have Maelstrom at 11 out of 12, and Maelstrom is really the main source of damage from your Wind Devils running around. The lightning bolts are hugely powerful. And then finally, we have Mogdragon's Pact at 1, Heart of the Wild maxed out, and then I just threw a point in Oak Skin for the extra little benefits it gives. So let's go throw our gear back on. I think, oh yeah, we gotta put that back on. Star Pack's on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, we're good. So yeah, with our plus skills, we can take a look at this. We got 4 on the Wendigo Totem, 16, 12, 11 on there. It's pretty much just +1 to Shaman. Meanwhile, on the Arcana side, yeah, we get jumped up to 17 on Star Pact, 10 on Iskandras, 20 on the Trojan Sky Shards, 12, like I said, 17 Inner Focus, 16 there, 12, 6. So all in all, rather stocked on the Arcana side of things, mostly because you get more abilities here that are more of your basic attack abilities. And I could see building to get maybe Primal Bond or Stormcaller's Pact in favor of filling out Arcanist to do more of a Trojan Sky Shards lightning focus, or a heavier lightning focus, I guess, with the bonus crit damage thing. But yeah, I think this build worked out great in the playthrough. So speaking of gearing, Our weapon is the Progenitor. I'm using Progenitor for its +1 to all skills for us. And it hits our 2 damage types. And Aether Lightning's a pretty fun ability to have worked in here. So as we do attacks, we'll have little Aether Lightning bolts pop off us and hit the enemy. Iskandra's Vestments, Iskandra's Hood, Iskandra's Focusing Prism, Iskandra's Texts, and Iskandra's Pauldrons are our chest, head, amulet, offhand, and shoulder slot items. I'm using this because it's a great set. Over the Trojan set, this gives you a ton of defense, and it also gives us all sorts of elemental and aether damage bonuses. Plus, it sort of relaxes our requirements on getting to 12 out of 12 with Myvan Sphere. And it has bonuses to Mirror, which is really nice. And then it all gives so many nice bonuses to Iskandra Elemental Exchange Line and to Inner Focus. The Iskandra's defense ability is pretty cool too. Basically, we get a huge amount of damage absorption worked into what Myvan Sphere provides when our health goes past the halfway point. In addition to providing, the physical resistance and pierce resistance. And the physical resistance is really nice to have because we're also using Wraithwalkers, which is more physical res for us. Our pants are Arcane Harmony leggings. The Elemental Burst Blast is pretty cool. It's sort of like a freebie Elemental Kalidor's Tempest. So we get knockdowns. And it also gives us some nice resistances. It works with our damage types. All around, pretty solid pants. But they're not pretty great pants. They're really only okay. That joke actually does work better when you have pretty great pants. But whatever. Elite Harvest Grips are one odd item out. I could go grab the Eastern Gloves or Ice-Scorn Talons or even maybe an Aether Reach. But yeah, I'm mostly happy with having the Elite Harvest Grips around. I like that % chance of that huge amount of all damage. Hitting our three stats is pretty cool too. I like that nice giant leap of offensive ability right there. Really nice green gloves. I mentioned the Wraithwalkers. They're Cold Aether. Kind of hits like our tertiary damage and Aether. All around, these are great too. They'll fill out our Vitality resistance, give us some physical res. I mean, I'm not using Kalidor's Tempest as I mentioned, but it will give us get Electra's Flash Freeze to 12 out of 12 much easier than trying to get it with points. Yeah, my rings are an Empowered Starfire for the bonus to Star Pact and Trojan Sky Shards, and we get free little Sky Shards in there as well. The Starfire ring is basically the go-to ring for using Trojan Sky Shards with Star Pact. I could double up on them, but I'd much rather have an Aether ring here, and in this case, we're using Screams of the Aether. +2 to Devastation and +2 to Fabric of Reality. Again, that's another reason to put a point in here. It'll get jumped up to 6, which is really nice. And the ring's ability, having the freebie Aether damage and then the Terrify targets, is a handy bit of survival. Though it's actually rare to see the Terrify take effect. It does, but like I said, it's rare. And it's actually a lot of Aether damage when it procs too. Our medal is a Tempest Sigil, not the Empowered Tempest Sigil. I want the normal one because of the 2% cooldown reduction, and I can point this out right here, that we hit 43%. So our Trojan Sky Shards, we have a 1 second recharge on them, which is kind of insane when you think about it, because that's like up. Like that's almost at the level of having Almarasta's Blade Burst. So yeah, I wanted that extra 2% cooldown reduction. Our belt is the Tinkerer's Ingenuity, which is a great support belt. It'll give you some health. Wait, does it give you that health? I might have gotten that health by picking this up at the blacksmith in Tyrant's Hold. But yeah, it definitely gives you the regen, constitution, avoidance, physique requirement and armor, and then the huge amount of poison and bleeding resistance, in addition to increasing your maximum poison and bleed resistances, which is really, really great. Tinkerer's Ingenuity is also great. So when we drop below 40% health, we get more damage absorption with that, stacks with that. And we get the jump up in regens. I think that... Oh, and I'm using the Avenger Relic, mostly for lack of a better relic. I think I just had this floating around, and I might actually be passing it off to another character who's actually retaliation-based. But, yeah, I think I had this lying around, and I was like, it's mythic. I'll slap it on this guy who's using lightning damage anyways. He usually is running through monsters, so, I mean, might as well go for that. It's, I'd rather be using, I think it's called Eye of the Storm, or maybe even Iskandra's Ingenuity, I think it's called. The Iskandra Relic. But yeah, I think I'd go for a Shaman one, just to give my Shaman side, plus to all skills. So yeah, I think Eye of the Storm would probably be my go-to on that. But I mean, this works just fine. So that is... Oh, I want to point out, the Aether Storm powder you buy from... Is it here? Yeah, I completed an Asteria quest, so I lost my revered reputation here. But I knew that was going to happen, so I stocked up before I did that. On the Aether Storm powder, it's the Lightning Aether go-to. More damage to Ethereals is not a bad thing either. Oh, attributes, I did 44, 0, and 43. So a split between Physique and Spirit. You can actually see me do that in the playthrough a lot as well. So, Devotion. The guy's a mix of Lightning and Aether. So that tells me the Wraith and the Widow are my two main things I want to go for. But I kind of started this guy as a traditional Trojan Sky Shards guy. And I might actually, believe it or not, be changing out Amatok Spirit of Winter at some point. I started going for him, and I just never redid him. Because you actually, I think you can just meet the requirements. Well, you'll kind of get close to the requirements just completing the Widow. So, I mean, you'll end up with Amatok unlocked, and I mean the Kraken as well. So, I'm just gonna keep him for now. But the way you would do that is you pick Primordial, and then pick up the Eel, because it's an easy three shot. Then come down and pick up Scholar's Light. It's another 3-shot, and that should give you your 6 and 4. Yeah, that'll give you your 6 and 4 for Amatok, and then you can just pick up Amatok's ability. And then picking up another 2 for Eldrick is easy. You just pick up the Hawk, and then you can pick up the Widow. Now, after that, I want to pick up Aeon's Hourglass and Spear of the Heavens. But first, I actually picked up the Wraith, I think. And the Wraith just has the 1 primordial requirement. So picking that up and completing that's easy. And if you actually want, you can go then into Ascendant, because you'll have the 3 Ascendant unlocked from the Wraith. But yeah, the Wraith will give you your 3 primordial as well. And then I also pick up Sailor's Guide. And then we pick up the Viper. The percent offensive ability is the real grab there, but it has some nice stuff otherwise. And the Vulture, you get 5 chaos for your 5 devotion points. Percent cunning is pretty nice. I like the vitality and bleed reses the most though, and leech life res is actually not bad to pick up as well. Sort of a sub resistance type, but getting all this together will allow you to pick up Spear of the Heavens and Aeon's Hourglass. Spear of the Heavens has like a ton of Aether lightning stuff on it, in addition to more offensive ability, and it's sort of a good retaliatory thing for a character that runs around a lot. Plus, it's another thing that you have dropped from the sky, and it's in your damage types. And then Aeon's Hourglass is just an all-around really nice defensive supporty thing, constellation, and its ability is actually pretty nice as well. Being able to petrify the targets and then further slowing them is pretty cool. And you sort of get the skill recharge reduced as you go along. So at 10, I think it's about 2 seconds or so. And yeah, you can have a lot of petrification happening as you do time stop. You also have a lot of these happening too, but they happen a lot regardless. So that covers, have we done it all? We have done the skills and devotion, and we have done our itemization. So that is going to cover the basics of the Arcane Storm Meteor Druid. I'm not going to be doing, as I mentioned, a skills demo because this has a 72-part series related to it. And I will link that either directly in the video or in the description below. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this build video, and I will see you guys next time.